The thing about Chelsea is life is never boring.
Hey chaps, welcome back to properchels.tv, your one-stop Chelsea news channel. I'm your host, as always, Logan Blue. Okay, so let's talk Chelsea. Today we dive down into the match against Nottingham Forest for a match review. The match, as I'm sure you saw, was very much a game of two halves, as the cliche goes. It played out pretty much like I expected, and if you saw my match preview, I predicted a 1-1 draw, and I said that Forest would be a tough nut to crack, given they do have the third best defensive record in the Premier League. Chelsea do not. Although at the start of the weekend we were the top scorer in the league, and I believe that we are still joint top scorer because Arsenal, of course, won 3-2 or 3-1 on the weekend. Okay, so the first half was turgid, was just Chelsea having the ball, Brighton being quite happy to let Chelsea have the ball. Few kind of half chances, nothing really to write home about. But both managers obviously gave their team, a what for at halftime during the halftime team talk, because both teams came out throwing some punches, and the second half was a much more exciting game. Not quite end-to-end like the Brighton Chelsea game, but certainly more end-to-end than the first half. Now, our issue here is that we didn't score when our opportunities came up, which is down to a number of things. Madueke, like in the first half, for example, Madueke was making a nuisance of himself, but as always, he was refusing to pass to his teammates and was shooting wildly into row Z with his right foot whenever he got on the inside. Though, in his defense, he did make these chances himself, right? So, you make your own chances. You pays your money, you takes your chances. But how much better a player would he be if he could just make the right decision at the end of that brilliant individual move where he gets beyond the defender? Fantastic though he is when he's on form, for a lot of the time he's just frustrating, as he was in the first half. Okay, so the second half, both teams come out throwing punches, which was good to watch. I thought Chelsea defended quite well, but I thought Nottingham Forest were very resolute in their game, in sticking to their game plan. But for Chelsea to go behind on a set piece was just poor form, because I've been complaining for quite a while about how lackadaisical we are in defence, and yet in the first half we were pretty solid in defence, to be fair, and for most of the game we were pretty solid in defence. Certain players were letting the side down, but people like Colwell were having a cracker of a game, and we're starting to really look like the leader we hoped he would morph into, like the new John Terry, as I said a couple of episodes ago. But he doesn't do the defending all by himself, right? We have to defend as a team, as a unit, and for us to get caught out on a simple, first of all, it was a needless free kick to give away, but nonetheless, things happen, right? So the free kick comes across to the back post and is just nudged on to the 60-yard area and tapped in. Nothing that Sanchez could do this time around. But honestly, this is the set piece equivalent of Route 1 football. Didn't we just get like some, U-Butte whiz-bang set-piece coach from Brentford who was meant to, turn us into Arsenal when it comes to, set pieces, both defending and attacking our own set pieces? But I have not seen any of that. Our set pieces during this match were appalling. Like, you can have as many set piece coaches as you like, but if the person taking the corner kick doesn't clear the first man, it's not really going to work, is it? So anyway, so they score, and we were on top at this point. We were on top for most of the game, okay, but never to the point where Nottingham Forest were particularly overrun. It was just that if anyone was going to win, it was probably going to be us. And then, as happens often, certainly in the last couple of years, Chelsea get hit with a sucker punch at the other end of the field, and it was a 100% avoidable goal, but nonetheless, they score it, and then suddenly we wake up. And what I really did like was the attitude of the Chelsea players when we went behind. There was a hunger, like a real, across the board. Players were passing crisply, sharply. They were charging down tackles. They were throwing themselves into tackles. They were pushing forward as a collective, pressing really well. So I'm like, this is a really good response, and is indicative, I think, of the team spirit and the ethos that Enzo has formed. I think Poch also has to be, given some flowers for the team spirit that we've got, because he, engendered a really good team spirit, because he's good at that. But I think Enzo's just taken it to the next level, right? Not quite Mourinho in that, we're going to win, right? We're going to win the Premier League. We're going to win every single match. We don't lose. Not quite that, not yet. But I think Enzo's got the ego for that sort of, special one quote, but he's smart enough to bide his time. He's only just come through the door. Let's just take it one game at a time, as the cliche goes. And Enzo is keen on saying. So we're one behind, and Chelsea is throwing the kitchen sink at Nottingham Forest, which is opening up some space for them to attack us. All right. Then, pretty much out of nowhere, an individual piece of brilliance by Madueke. He cuts inside, fires on his favorite left foot through swats of players, and the keeper doesn't see it until too late. 1-1, excellent. And you could see Madueke when he grabbed the ball after the goal. Come on, not when he didn't grab the ball, but he wanted to. But then when he turned around and ran straight back to the halfway line, come on, let's win this, was what he was saying by his action. No time to celebrate. Come on, let's get back and let's get that second goal and take the 3 points. Unfortunately, we didn't, although we did have chances. Now, where Enzo went wrong here is that he brought on substitutes too late, right? Jackson was invisible during the game, right? And again, this is 3 games now he hasn't scored, which, isn't horrible for a striker, but it's certainly not good, right? The goal every 2 games, or at least getting involved. But for the last 2-3 games, he's been, not the Jackson of the beginning of the season, right? So this is where it comes to, if, the old question of, if we had Osimhen as an example of a world-class striker, would we be winning games like this? And I suspect the answer is probably yes. Because in this game, it wasn't like we didn't have chances, because we did have chances to win it, right? We absolutely had chances to win it. But their goalkeeper was just world-class. Today, he was just world-class. He was fantastic. And Sanchez, for his part, was also fantastic, right? He didn't have any sort of brain melts with passing to the opposition, which was partly because there was no high press from Forest, because that's not how they were approaching the game. They saw what happened to Brighton, and they thought, no, we're not falling into that trap, right? We're playing a low block, right? But it wasn't a low block like park the bus and do nothing. It was park the bus, phases of play, counter-attack whenever the counter-attack was on. And they were very good in counter-attack. And, even though Chelsea could have won this, easily could have won this, right? So could have Forest. And then if it wasn't for Sanchez, they would have nicked it at the end. So yeah, it was a game that either side could have won in the second half. Realistically, based on chances, Chelsea should have won it, right? There was a couple of, like I said, worldly saves. One from Nkunku, who really should have buried that header. I was a striker when I was a kid, and the first thing you get taught is head it down low, aim for the corner, head it down low. No matter how hard you head it, if it's at a savable height, which it was, right, the keeper has a chance. And Nkunku should have buried that. He really should have buried that. But there was another worldie from Palmer who did some Zola-esque wizardry with the ball, and we didn't see a replay, so I wasn't 100% sure how he did it. It was like a bit of magic to get space in the box, and I thought it was a goal, and then the keeper saved it. And there was another time when the ball was a scramble and it was just nearly over the line. Yeah, almost so close, but no cigar. There was just kind of the match it was. But I predicted a 1-1 draw. I predicted this kind of match, so none of this really surprised me. So I'm not disappointed. I just think it's where we are in the process. And I suspect that in January we will have another crack at Victor Osimhen, right? What happened to Mark Gu then is we'll probably loan him out, right? Because apparently he's on 100 grand for an 18-year-old untried striker who I think has got a really, really good future ahead of him. But he needs game time. He's not even getting on as a substitute right now. And if the two strikers we've got are, Jackson and Nkunku, and then, Mark Gu as the number 3, he's not getting on. He's not even getting on in cup games. So we need to loan him out to, get him game time, let him score some goals. I really think he will score goals. I really, really do. It was a great game. I'm looking at SofaScore. And according to SofaScore, Sanchez got an 8.5. Fair enough, he deserves that. Cucurella 6.6. Colwell 7. Colwell should have got an 8. Fofana 6.9. Yep. Gusto 7.3. Partially to blame for the goal, their goal. Enzo got 7.4 on SofaScore. That's rubbish. He was pants today. The amount of time Enzo gave away the ball, like simple passes, or went in for 50-50 and didn't win it. So he deserved like a 4. He was the worst player on our team and was a liability. And why the manager didn't see that and off you go, son, and bring on Lavia, or if not Lavia, somebody else. Right? He was an absolute liability. He looked like he was tired, like he travelled from South America and just got off the plane 2 hours before. It's ridiculous. Caicedo got a 7. He was solid but not spectacular, and he seemed to be just a little off the pace. A lot of his tackles came in a half a second too late. So I just think, not that they were better than us in the sense of better players. I just think that he was just a little off his game, but solid nonetheless. 7.6 for Sancho. Yeah. I wouldn't have given him that high, maybe 7. He didn't do much. He seems to be at a loss when he gets into positions, like in the penalty area. Like he might beat a couple of men with a bit of magic, and then he's like, now what do I do? So, but he was solid enough. Cole Palmer, 8.8. I wouldn't have given him an 8.8, maybe a 7.5. He was, by his own standards, pretty, so-so. Still good, because I think his standards are high. So a so-so game is still better than most people's great games. Madueke got 8.7. Yeah, okay, what the hell? I'll give it to him. He scored the goal. Jackson got 6.7. I don't think he deserved 6.7. He was like a 5.5 or something. Anyway, it was good to see that Hudson-Odoi didn't score against us, which seems to be the narrative with many a Chelsea player coming back to haunt us. But yeah, all in all, A 1-1 was, as I said, what I predicted, and is exactly what I think this game deserved. We could have won it. Of course, we could have won it based on the chances. They could have scored based on their chances. We could have lost it right at the death with a, and then the narrative going into the break is a lot different. But we're undefeated. We let in a goal. Yeah, that happens, but it shouldn't happen on a run-of-the-mill, free kick to the back post. Come on, guys. This is like pub teams learn how to defend that. So let's just be better at that. So yeah, we go into the international break in fourth, 4 points off the top. I would have bitten your arm off for that at the start of the season. So in the October international break, that's yeah, of course we could be doing better. Of course we could have won this game. Then we'd be 1 point up. Yeah, blah blah, 2 points. Blah blah. That's great. We've had a very good start, solid start, but we need to measure our expectations because we're not a title-winning, challenging team yet. All right. So there'll be more games like this as time goes on. But I honestly think that if come the summer, or maybe it's January, we do get a world-class goalkeeper and a world-class striker, and maybe one more central defender, like a first team central defender as opposed to a squad player, I think we're on for a title challenge for next season. But like I said, I predicted third, so yeah, I think we're fourth right now. It's brilliant. Let's just take the wins and be grateful that we are where we are so early in the Enzo Maresca project.
Okay, then, that's all the news that's fit to print, and quite a bit that isn't. As always, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and God bless, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.